Quick question before this episode begins. If you're over 45 and you've been meaning to sort out your energy, your strength, your health, but life keeps getting in the way, this is for you. Holistic coach and practitioner Mike Hendricks has spent over 3 decades helping people do exactly that. And he's built it all into one program, the Core Build Accelerator System. It's a guided, group coaching program built specifically for men and women over 45 to help you reclaim and upgrade your health without slogging away in the gym and without another restrictive diet you can't stick to. Inside, you'll find short, efficient workouts that protect your joints and rebuild lost muscle, so you move without pain. A way of eating that fuels you rather than starves you, so you get your energy back. And a supportive group walking the same path, so you actually stick with it and feel years younger. Each cohort is kept deliberately small, so every member gets proper attention. The next intake is filling up, and once it's full, it's closed until the following round. To learn more or apply for a place, follow the link in the show notes. Have a look before the doors close. Now, on to today's episode.
You're listening to the Real Longevity Podcast, your #1 podcast resource for living a longer life. Here we discuss topics on personal fitness, longevity, and real lasting elevation of mind, body, and spirit. Join us as we build a community of healthy men and women enjoying lasting levels of real health and vitality. If you're currently feeling frustrated with pain, flat, or fed up with aging faster than you actually are, you're invited to join us each and every week here on the Real Longevity Podcast. Welcome to the Real Longevity family and get ready to live a life you truly love. Welcome back to the Real Longevity Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hendricks, and today we have another outstanding, informative, and elevating show for you. I'm speaking to a specific group of people today, so I want you to listen keenly if you fit into that group. But before we do that, I want to welcome our first-time listeners. Welcome. Thank you for joining us here. And remember to stay to the end of the show where you can connect with us, as I will be sharing all the social media links for our groups, communities, and you can join us as we continue to grow the Real Longevity podcast community. Now, I said I'm speaking to a specific type of person today, and that person is the person that used to be fit, used to be active. Maybe you played a sport, maybe you had a gym routine, you walked, you ran, you swam, you did some sort of physical activity, maybe even danced. You knew what movement felt like and you gave it to your body on a regular basis. But then life happened, that demanding career, the children, the house, you maybe got married in a long-term relationship, responsibility stacked on responsibility. And somewhere, maybe in your 40s or your 50s, you looked up and you realized that 10 years had passed away, or maybe 15 or 20 years had passed and gone by. And that active person that you used to be had quietly disappeared in the background. I'm sure many of us listening can relate to that. And that person was replaced by someone who always intended to get back into fitness and intended to get back into a routine where they're looking after themselves, but it never quite happened. If that is you, that's who I'm speaking with in this episode. Today we're going to be talking about how you can create your comeback, how to return to fitness after years away without breaking yourself or your spirit. Create your comeback. How to return to fitness after years away without breaking yourself or your spirit. Now, I understand it because I work with a lot of people. I'd say a large percentage of the people that I work with fall into this category. And I want to be honest with those people and you listening about this stage of your life. Coming back to fitness after a long break is genuinely hard. And I say that truthfully and honestly because it's true. Your body has changed. You aren't the same person that you were 15, 20 plus years ago. Your recovery is different. You're at more risk of certain type of injuries if you approach things the wrong way. Secondly, that version of you who's not done anything for a long period of time has a potential to do something different, build something more sustainable. You're hopefully, and I'm confident you are, you're more intelligent now. You're far more aware of things that want to be more deeply rewarding than you were before, because you're looking to get back into fitness, which is great. And you understand this time you're not doing it for chasing a number on the scales. You're not doing it to have a particular image to be posted on social media. You're doing it because you're at a stage of life where you understand it's important. You realize now that, I need to start looking after myself, because if I want the rest of my life to be good, I need to start investing time. And that's fundamentally where you are and why you are different at this stage in life. And that's, in my opinion, a much more powerful driver, a much more powerful level of motivation. So let's get into it and understand what we can do and why returning to fitness after a break is different and why it's not bad news. I'm here to share some good news and give you some insights to inspire you and move you forward. The first thing I want to address is the comparison trap. And this is something I see all the time when I'm working with my clients individually or I'm working in my cohort groups in the rehabilitation programs. Most people fall into this trap, and it's something I need to address because it can be quite demoralizing. Because almost everyone coming back into fitness has that significant break of not doing anything for a period of time, but they're always comparing themselves to what they were 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Comparing themselves to that ability that they had 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And that is just demoralizing, as well as potentially dangerous. Your body at 52, 62 is not the same when it was at 32 or 22. And here's the thing, your body at 52 has qualities that it didn't have maybe 20 years ago. You're more self-aware, you've got more experience. You hopefully have the capacity to be more patient. And you have a much clearer understanding of why health matters. It's not just for the mirror. It's not just for the gram or Instagram or social media. Things have physically changed, and there are several things that we need to be aware of that have physically changed as well. Your aerobic capacity will have probably declined from what it was when you were in maybe your 20s or 30s. Maybe your muscle mass has declined as well if you've not been doing your resistance training exercise. We spoke about this in previous episodes. Your connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, they will be less elastic than they were previously, and that could lead to be more vulnerable to injury from sudden movements or high intensity training, and your recovery time as well. It's going to take you longer. That's just a hard, honest truth, that it's going to take you longer to recover from exercise than it did when you were in your 20s. But none of these are bad reasons not to start or not to rekindle your love for being physically active again. All of them are excellent reasons to start, but start intelligently. As I said before, your fitness without the right frequency and consistency is flawed and foolish. And I don't want you to be flawed or foolish. I want you to be intelligent in your approach. The principle I want you to carry into this entire journey is that you're not returning from where you were before. You're building from somewhere new. And that foundation approach to your body right now is key. Do it slowly, do it consistently, and do it with patience. And that will outlast anything that you've built before, because you're building on a genuine understanding that your body's changed and you're not that youthful person that you were before. You're mature, but you're smart and you're intelligent. And that's what I want to build on. And this is in the real rejuvenation program that we talk about, is realize, understand, and take responsibility with that information. You're realizing and recognizing that you're not the same person that you were previously. You need to make some changes, and you're taking that responsibility because you realize you're aware now. So that's the R in the real program that we often share and talk about. Now, biggest mistakes that people make coming back are quite significant, but I'm going to share them with you now, highlight them to you now, so you don't have to make those same mistakes. It's a pattern I see people falling into very often. And again, I wanted to be straight with you, tell you how it is. When someone decides that they're coming back, often you see that they are motivated, they remember what it felt like to be fit, and so they do what they used to do. They do what they feel what used to work. They sign up for a class that they love. They go for a run in the first week. They train 5 days. They push themselves very, very hard, and they go for it. Basically, they're really motivated, and this is what they used to do before. And then by week 3, and sometimes the second week, something gives. The aches come in, the knee starts to hurt, the hip flexors tender, the back screaming at them, they're feeling irritable, or they just feel exhausted and knackered all the time, but they're still trying to push through. And then comes a common feeling of guilt and that voice in their head that says, oh, this always happens. I knew I couldn't stick to this. I left it too long. Why did I do it? I'm too old. I'm not built for this anymore. None of which is true. It was just that they took the wrong approach. They went back to a program that maybe worked for them when they were in the 20s or early 30s, but that dosage now is just way too high and they can't do it. The body's not designed to do with it. The enthusiasm is good, but it needs to be molded in a right way. Coming back after a long break requires a specific approach and specific skills. And the skill is patience and understanding. The ability to do less than you think you have is actually the ability to do more. If you think about that saying, less is more, that is very much true. And it's that foundation that we're talking about, taking the right sort of approach. And from that right sort of approach, you build a foundation and you can build upwards, higher, stronger and longer. And that's what you need to understand. Your body's changed. You can't be doing the same things that you do before. If you have that understanding, you have that mentality, recognize, realize, take the responsibility according to where you are right now, your potential is endless, despite being in your late 40s, 50s, 60s, or maybe even older. So what are the steps that you can take that's going to help you to create your comeback and do it without feeling that you're breaking your spirit or breaking yourself? So step number 1. Now, this might sound a little bit strange when I say this, but what I used to think about doing for the first 2 weeks, you're only going to walk. You're building a foundation. Now, I appreciate me saying this to you, just walking for a couple of weeks might sound almost insulting. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to insult you, but I'm talking about following a principle that works. I've done this many times with my client, but I've told you before about my client Andy, who was in the hospitality business. Simply what we got him to do, as well as obviously combining it with some resistance training, was to walk, do some simple cardiovascular exercise. And that's what I'm asking you to do here. You might feel that it's not enough, but just do it anyway. And here's why. That cardiovascular system, what you're doing is reconditioning it. You're getting your body back, those tendons, those ligaments, you're reawakening them. You're getting them ready for the load that you're going to be doing in a few weeks' time. The nervous system is relearning motor patterns. And the physiological reconnection that you're developing in this phase, in these first 2 weeks of walking, is essential. All this happens in the first 2 weeks. Now, if you skip it and you go from 0 to 100 in the space of a few days, it's only going to end in disaster. You're going to break down. So walking 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, brisk walk. You've heard me say it before, conversational type exercise. Enough that you're feeling a little bit breathy, but you can still hold a conversation. And that's the level of intensity that I want you to adapt for these first 2 weeks. The step 2 that you're going to take is that you're going to introduce or begin resistance training 2 sessions a week, but you're only going to do body weight exercises. So in this first couple of weeks, you've introduced the walking. Now in weeks 3 and 4, you're going to start doing bodyweight type exercises. So it's not a gym program as such. It's not built for that younger person that was 20. It's not that HIIT or the high rocks or Metcon or anything intense like that. It's bodyweight fundamentals. Perform slowly Full range of motion, focus entirely on the quality of the movement. So again, how do you feel when you're doing? What does it feel like when you're doing? Simple exercise, for example, could be a sit to stand exercise from a chair. So doing it 10, 15 repetitions, perform controlled, deliberately. Lowering phase is essential so that instead move it back into the chair, focusing on the quality of the movement. Secondly, you can do something like a wall push-up, so pressing your hands up against the wall, bending the elbows, lowering your chest to the wall and pushing back again. Focusing on the movement. Hip hinge type exercises, so bending forward, keeping good posture, breathing correctly. All these exercises, like the wall push-ups, sit to stand, they're fundamental primary pattern movements that you can do, focusing on the movement. And by doing these 2 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions, as I mentioned, a couple of times a week, in that week 3 and 4, after you've done, you're again building on that foundation, focusing on the quality of the movement. Step number 3 is to track your recovery, not your performance. Now, again, stress this point, track your recovery, not your performance. The most important metric, especially when you get back into exercise, is not how many reps you've done or how far you walk or how fast you walked or how much weight you lifted. It's how you felt or how you're feeling 24 hours after you've done the exercise. Remember, you've had a period of time out. It may have been 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, maybe even longer. So you want to get this body back into knowing and understanding how you're feeling. After each training session that was appropriately dosed, you should feel good the following day. You should be mildly aware that you've used the muscles, but you should be experiencing excruciating pain. You shouldn't feel exhausted. You shouldn't be limping or feeling overly achy. That's the sweet spot. If you feel significantly worse, i.e. you feel more fatigued, you feel more achy, you feel less motivated, you've done too much. So reduce the volume. And you have to, obviously going to have to play with this a little bit in these first 3 to 4 weeks, but this is what we're going to do, is get you to understand how your body feels, building that relationship about awareness back into the body. Your body always is communicating with us and with you all the time, has this biofeedback system, and understanding and listening to your body, how it responds to these exercises is key, especially over those 24, 40-hour window period. It's helping you to build that intelligence, and I say helping you to build that foundation. The more intelligent you are, and you're not relying on something that runs on a battery like an app or some sort of widget that we have to wear or some sort of band, you're listening to your body. You're building back that understanding. You're building back that relationship with your body. So tracking your recovery, not the performance. And then step number 4, celebrate 2 months, not 2 weeks. This is a mind step shift that I'm going to introduce now. This mind step determines pretty much everything, how you're going to continue this moving forward. Remember, we've had a bit of a timeout. Could it be, let's say, 2 years? It could be 20 years. But we need to also think about how we're changing and adapting our mindset. In the first 2 or 3 weeks of return to fitness, most people feel motivated, by that novelty effect, by the sense of they're starting something new again. Those early sensations, waking up and it's all good, it carries them through. But after around about week 3 or 4, we know the drill. That novelty wears off. That progression, it starts becoming a little bit invisible. We can't see the same sort of changes. We don't see the major upticks that we may have seen in those first 4 weeks. That motivation can begin to wane. So I want you to commit to the next 8 weeks. Not 4, not 10, 8. 8 weeks is just showing up. Even if it's done imperfectly, but commit to the next 8 weeks, even on the days where you've had to do a shorter walk than maybe you planned. So you can't do 15 minutes, just do 5. Or you can't do half an hour, just do 15. Because at 8 weeks, something I see significantly shifts. The habit has taken hold. If you can do it consistently for 8 weeks, that's where you're going to see the physical changes are beginning to come visible and tangible. The energy is genuinely different. The body has relearned about how you can move your body effectively. And then from that point, continuing is no longer an act of willpower, it becomes your identity. It's who you are. And that's what we're trying to build back into you. You're not just doing this because you're motivated. It's become who you are. It's become part of your identity. It's become someone who recognizes, yeah, I'm the person that invests 2-3 days a week, 20 minutes at a time, half an hour at a time, investing in my fitness and my well-being. You're not trying to get motivated for 8 weeks. You're building a new person. You're building a new identity. You're building on a new form of you, a person that moves, a person who looks at things, especially when it comes to your fitness and your well-being, your health, completely different. And that's a body that is built to last. Today, our episode was for everyone who has been away from fitness for far too long and is ready to genuinely craft their comeback, they create their comeback. That's what we've been talking about today. We've been honest about what's changed in your body and why it's not a reason not to start, but a reason to start. But the key word here is start intelligently. We have identified the mistakes that send people back to the sofa when they do too much or they're going too hot, too fast, too soon. Compared to what they used to be like, they realize that they can't do that anymore. So that's where we apply that intelligence. And we've given you 4 steps. Walk for 2 weeks, just consistently walking. Introduce bodyweight exercises, simple resistance exercises, focusing on your form and your technique. Track your recovery, not performance, and commit to 8-week period. That 8-week window is essential rather than just 2. Your comeback is not about returning to where you were. It's about building who you are now, crafting and creating a new person. And that person is patient, and that person is intelligent, and that person is committed, and that person is smart. And they're building the right frequency and consistency. And they're building a body and a mindset that is built to last. If you're ready to make that comeback and you want support, that accountability, and that guidance of someone who has walked alongside hundreds of people just like you on the exact same journey, giving them support, why don't you join us in our Real Longevity Podcast community? I'm going to leave a link in the show notes. You can come and join us over there, and we speak and share all things longevity, health, well-being, and elevation of mind, body, and spirit. And if you want to personalize the program to this, why don't you consider joining us on our next cohort of the Core Build Accelerator system? Again, I'm going to leave a link in the show note where you can find out all about that program. And it's a group coaching program designed for people just like you, where you are on this stage of life's journey. Get you back to feeling, looking, and performing at your best like you know you should. Okay, until next time, I trust you found today's episode insightful and uplifting. Remember, be well, be wise, be cool, be calm, and keep it real. Blessings and chi. Peace.